Need to talk to Diego Parker.
He's the pro.
Well, if you've ever just stopped into one of their Latin American tugs, they have a good time. That's all I'm going to tell you. They have a really good time.
Love it.
Enid, have you been out there?
No, I haven't been out there, but I definitely need to attend now that.
Yes, you do.
do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm letting everyone in just so you know. We're going to be live.
Yes. We can see you coming.
Okay, we can see you coming in. Don't be shy.
Yes.
Come on
Hey,
in. Go ahead, Klaus.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you call.
Yeah. Good morning. This is our third session, and thank you for bearing with us. We had to make some changes. This session was originally scheduled for Thursday, and we found out that it's a holiday. So we had to move it, and we moved it to Monday, which in hindsight probably wasn't the best idea, putting it immediately after TC last week. Keep coming in. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. I see there's quite a few people out there. We're going to give it a few more minutes, and then we're going to get started. If
Feel free to jump to the chat and just let us know from where you're calling in.
Yeah, and also, if you saw something at TC, either virtual or live, that you really like, just put it in the chat. We'd love to see what you liked out there. Way to go, Oxford, Ohio. I can't keep up with you guys.
Many people from the US, actually.
Whoever's out there from Dyer, Indiana, spent a lot of time in Schererville in part of my life. That's just a one-on-one thing. I guess Enid probably knows where that is also.
I just saw Bremen from Germany. Congratulations on the Aufstieg in the first division. Werder Bremen.
Well, I'm happy to see few from India, Mumbai.
Yeah. Madison, Wisconsin's in the house. Hi, Madison. Love you guys up there. Nashville. Lindsay, you're out there. Good to see you, girl.
Hi, Eric.
Lindsay's one of the co-hosts of the Nashville Tug. Always glad to have her in the house. Okay, we're going to give it just a couple more minutes. Things are beginning to slow down a little bit. There's Hammond, Indiana. That's up in that region too, right, Enid?
Yep, that's the region.
The region. Enid, you realize there's 98% of the people have no idea what you and I just said, but that's okay.
I know. I know.
Good.
There's a region like close to Chicago in Indiana that we call the region, and it's a series of towns up there.
And
I was not aware of that. So
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's quite the same here.
yeah. Okay. Klaus, why don't we go to the next slide and they'll continue coming in. We're about 4 minutes after. Okay.
Yeah.
First, I want to do a public service announcement. If any of you were live in Las Vegas last week, and you would all feel sick, ill, you feel like something's not right, please go out and get tested. You may not be following what's going on, but there has been a large number of COVID cases that have been identified. And unfortunately, it's mostly what I've seen anyway. There's an awful lot of them among the visionaries and the ambassadors. So if you were out there and you came to a session and you stopped in and you introduced yourself to one of the visionaries and you sat down and talked for a little bit and you start feeling bad, by all means, go get tested to make sure you're not positive. But there's quite a few positive, and I'll be straight up with you now. If I met any of you, if any of you came to my session and I met any of you out there, please go get tested. I am not positive at this point. I do not feel good. I've got 2 negative tests, but all the people that have been around me have tested positive. So I don't expect that to continue. So, when in doubt, go get tested. Okay. We're recording this. You know that, and we're going to record it, and the recording will be out on the hub later. If you have questions, just put them in the Q&A. And Viraj, wave to everybody, Viraj. Just there you go. Viraj is going to answer as many as he can, and we'll try to get to all the questions that are in there. Please don't put them in the comments or the chat because we just can't keep up with that. It's just too much to try to identify questions out there. But do use the chat to interact with each other and have a good time out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Go. Did you want to say something here, Klaus?
Yeah, I just want to welcome everyone, of course. I'm really looking forward to the sessions. We had to do some last minute changes in the agenda as well as in the date, but we're still quite confident that we've put together an exciting program for you. And all of you will create things in Tableau today. So please have your Tableau opened, Tableau desktop. You will have to use it later on today.
Okay. Well, let's talk a bit about that about that agenda. Klaus and I are going to talk about the order of operations. And I'm straight up about it. I consider the order of operations fundamentally the most important thing you learn as a new user in Tableau. Most of the mistakes that I see, most problems that users have where they just can't get Tableau to do something, result from being out of order in the order of operations. So we're going to have fun and we're going to do that. Klaus and I are set to go on that. Now we plan to talk about mapping, but our mapping expert is in Seattle, down with her entire family with COVID, and we had another visionary, a superstar stud mapping presenter who was going to present out of London. He arrived back in London and texted me on Saturday morning and said he tested positive and he wouldn't be able to do it. So Klaus stepped up and said that he'd be able to fill in. And this is going to be kind of fun. We're going to take a look at Sankey diagrams. And I know a lot of you have asked about Sankey diagrams. Some of you don't know what Sankey diagrams are, but by the end of the day, you'll both know what Sankey diagrams are and you'll know how to make one. And I just saw Lindsay. Yeah. I did just a second there. I just saw Lindsay here in Nashville say, yes, she knows about Sankeys because she and I had a discussion about 6 months ago with Sankeys, and I put her in touch with Ken, and it worked out well for her. And then we're going to have some fun time with Cahoots. Go ahead, Klaus.
Yeah, I just wanted to say about Sankey. So they are really hard to create kind of in Tableau, but we will demystify them today a little bit, and that will be quite easy to do actually. So all of you or everyone who wants to will be able to create a Sankey yourself today, and I'm looking forward to share that procedure to do it. So that will be fun.
Okay, I see some questions coming up here in the chat. Don't worry, we're going to get back to mapping at some point in the future when everybody's healthy again. We're going to get back to mapping. It's not lost, it's just delayed. Okay. Well, let's go on to the next slide.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, we again we are happy to have you here today, and we are the team behind the Newbie tag, and there will be new people joining for the first time today. So we just wanted to say a few words about ourselves. So I'm Klaus. I'm a Tableau visionary from Germany. I live in the western part of Germany. So I saw some people dialing in from Germany. Yeah, and I attended conference, of course. I attended the virtual one, so I wasn't able to go to the US. And I'm always a big fan of Iron Viz, and that was my favorite part of conference. I'm not sure if all of you saw it. If not, try to get the recording. The three contestants were just amazing, and I think we also saw a deserved winner with Will, but everyone did a great job at Iron Viz.
Yeah, I'm seeing somebody here say Iron Viz was great. I'm Jim. I'm in Nashville. I too am a visionary. I had the pleasure of being in Nashville or being in Las Vegas, and I really enjoyed it. It was so good to get back together after 2.5 years. If you think Iron Viz is good online, you got to be in the room. It was outstanding. We had so much fun, and those guys are so talented. I mean, really, I'm watching this thing live and then going for 20 minutes. And I'd like to say that that was my absolute favorite part, but I made a presentation. So I had a session on teaching Tableau, and if you were in that session, just put a note in the chat. If you weren't at some time, we're going to have a recording of it. They didn't record it live there, but it's about teaching Tableau, and I was really proud of the session. We sold the session out, so thank you if you were there. Really appreciate it.
Who wants to go on?
Laura.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, you used to refer to us as Zen Masters. That name has been changed. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Hi, I'm Laura, and I am from Chicago, as you can see in the map, if you are able to. I'm still a newbie at Tableau. I joined this group because it's helping me out, and I feel like if I have some of the same type of questions, I feel like I can help out other people as well. So yeah, that's how I'm here. And I work as a BI analyst at a law firm, which is quite a niche area, but I'm using Tableau quite a bit right now for my project. So it's been really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
I can go next. So my name is Enid Burchett. I live in Indianapolis. I work for a higher ed institution. And so I use Tableau a lot for our dashboarding and reporting. I didn't attend the conference as much as I wanted to last week. Last week was a little insane for our school, but I did watch the keynote, and I'm very excited for the new data, the new image feature that they have, where you can click on a bar graph and it takes you to a different image. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Maybe Alyssa, are you going to say anything? Because I'm going to say good things about you if you don't.
Sure. Yeah. I apologize. My voice is gone. That's just proof that I was in Vegas last week. It was a great time, but I am a community content and event specialist at Tableau. I'm here in the background supporting these wonderful leaders. But yeah, Vegas was a blast. I think my favorite part of it's hard to pick one, but I really enjoyed being a part of the Vizzies. It is a community-led and run award show, kind of like the Oscars, but really, really cool getting to recognize and highlight some amazing members of the community. It's recorded. I'll drop it in the chat if you guys want to go check it out.
Alyssa, in her typical fashion, is being modest. What you don't know in this big fold-out business card that she's got with so many titles behind it is that's the same team that put on 2 separate conventions last week. They did the live convention and they did the virtual convention. They were 2 total separate conventions, and no, they didn't have twice as many people to do the job. So thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Horace, are you going to jump in here?
Oh, seems like he's not able to say something. Viraj, do you
Okay.
want to go next?
Horace just came back.
Horace, yeah. You can go ahead, Horace, if you want, if you're ready.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Horace, based in Nigeria, and I've been building my skills on Tableau for a couple of years now, like a year and a half. And that's why I've joined the group. Hopefully, I hope to improve on my Tableau skills. I've been working on personal projects using Tableau for a couple of months as well, and I think I've been improving. And some of these events have helped me greatly as well. I didn't attend the conference. I missed it, but I've gone through the videos online, and I think they're quite. It's quite important that anyone who's not attended to have a look. A lot of information there, particularly the speaker mentioning the importance of embedding data culture within organizations. I think is very important in driving results using data. So whoever hasn't watched it to try and watch it online. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Horace. Hi, Viraj here. I'm from Mumbai, India. And well, the Tableau conference was amazing. You know, as much as people who attended it in person, like Jim, they might be having a blast. We also had some blast virtually. We attended some, Remo hangouts where we could connect people from across the world. And I can see a few of them join this session today. Hi, Prasanna. And it was fun. And I think the best part about that event was definitely Ironways, the devs on stage, some wonderful school features, and we are just waiting for them to go live. And then the speed tips. Oh, come on, who can miss those? Those were amazing. Both beginners and advanced. So that's kind of fun. And then many customer stories was so encouraging. I am definitely going to rewatch it again and again. So that's how it is. So, and welcome everyone to this group. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I think we're gonna start with our program. Jim, do you want to take it over from here?
Sure. Okay, today we're going to talk about the order of operations. Whenever I teach Tableau, this is about the second session that I do it because I think it is so important. And as I said before, it's the thing that users and particularly new users get confused about, and we end up making it more difficult than it really is. So let's go to the next slide. The Tableau order of operations is just like any other order of operations. It's a sequence that Tableau goes through each time you make a worksheet. If you think of your worksheet as two tables, we talk about an underlying table, and we talk about the table that you see. The underlying table is a filtered subset of the total data that you entered into Tableau. And that's the data that's available for you to use on the worksheet. You create that table as you go through the order of operation. Now, the order of operation has 11 steps, and there's a number of different models. This is the model that I use. Klaus likes to use a different model. There are a couple of different models, but that's okay. They're the same 11 steps. I like to break it down like this into 3 segments. And the reason I break it down into 3 segments is 3 segments are easier to understand than 11. Now, the first 2 steps, step 1 and 2, are extract filters and data source filters, and those operate at the workbook level. You use those to filter data out of Tableau before it ever gets into Tableau, and therefore your entire workbook works more efficiently. It improves the performance of the workbook. If you're not going to use the data, why have it in the workbook? It's just going to slow things down. All the other steps in the order of operations work at the worksheet level. The next 3, and this is the place where probably 80% of users get confused, is using context filters, fixed LODs, sets, and top end, and the dimension filters. That is where the structure for the worksheet data table is created. Think of it like you're creating an Excel spreadsheet, and you're taking your headers and you're putting them on rows and columns. That's creating a structure for your worksheet. And that's what's happening in steps 3, 4, and 5, where you use context filters, dimension filters, and add in LODs, sets, and top end. The remaining step, just load that structure with values. You're just putting numbers in the spreadsheet, if you will. And you can think of that spreadsheet like an Excel spreadsheet. It's the visual spreadsheet that you see. We all know the underlying table is tall and thin, but think of it as that visual spreadsheet that you see on the viz. And all we're doing is putting values in there. We're going to do some math at that point, maybe a little more filtering of the measures. We're not changing the structure of the table anymore. We're only looking at the values that are in the table. We do some calculations, and then we do some table calculations. The last thing that's available to us is some calculation filters. Klaus, you want to go to the next one there?
Yeah, sure.
There we go. This schematically, this is kind of what we talk about. You're bringing data in from whatever source it's coming in from. And, you know, it could be a flat file. It could be off of some system data set, and you're going to bring it into Tableau. Well, when you create a individual worksheet, think of that as a Excel flat file sheet that you're going to end up using to create your viz. And that steps 3, 4, and 5 are where you create the structure for that worksheet. Dimensionally, it's very similar to the flat file that you would use in Excel. And then you just load it with values and decide what you want your end result to look like. Klaus, I think you got some examples that you could show them how this works and how it affects you. But I guess I should make one other thing. I said 80% of the problems arise in steps 3, 4, and 5 where you're working with context filters. The other 20% of the problems typically come when you're working with table calculations. So yeah, with that, I'm going to throw it over to Klaus to show you some examples. Go ahead, Klaus.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Yeah, so we thought about having an example to explain what this is all about, because this is obviously not about taking just one of these, depending on your what you thought could match in this case, but it's depending on the analytical questions you're trying to answer, which of the filters or where in the order of operations you want to do something. And I've tried to come up with a simple example that will guide us through the different types of filters, and will ask different analytical questions. And I just want to show to you what happens when we take one of these filters or steps from the order of operation that Jim has just introduced. And I want to do a really simple example based on sample superstore. So the data set that comes with Tableau, and we are going to look at category and subcategory. So these are the two hierarchy. This is part of the hierarchy of the product hierarchy in Superstore. So each of the products in Superstore belongs to a subcategory, and each subcategory belongs to a category. So we have furniture with bookcases, chairs, furnishings, and tables. We have office supplies, and we have technology with the other subcategories. And let's start with a simple analytical question. And your manager could, for example, ask, show me the top 10 subcategories by sale and color code category. And this is what we are going to build now in a first step. So I take the subcategories on rows. I take the sales on columns. Let me order that. Then I want to color code category like that, but I want to use category as an attribute. Let's put subcategory on label. And I want to rank these because I want to show you how many we have. So I've prepared a simple rank calculation. Let me show that to you. So we have just a unique rank of sum of sales. And I bring that in as a discrete pill before subcategory. And like that, you see, we have 17 subcategories. They belong to technology, to furnitures, and to office supplies. Okay, now the first example. So managers asking, show me top 10 subcategories by sales and color code category. Okay, we have done the color coding part, but we only want to see the top 10. There are different ways of creating the top 10. We could, for example, create a set with the top 10. But what I want to do now, and that is this one here, I want to use the top N filter. So whenever you drag a dimension on filters, you have different ways of using that filter. So if I would just select members of the subcategory here, I would use a dimension filter. We have conditional filters that were these. What I want to use is the top filter. That is the top N filter. And I'm filtering down my subcategories by sales, sorry. And I want to use the sum of sales, and this will only keep the top 10 subcategories by sale. Okay, and you see the view gets updated. We only keep 10 subcategories in this, and this will be my starting point for my example. Let me hide this one. So I've got like that, and we have a nice bar chart. Yeah, so these are our top 10 subcategories by sales, and we have a color-coded category. Now let's move on to the second step. And managers can be like that, and he says, or she says, oh, I forgot, please filter out furnitures. I mean, I want to see the top 10 without furnitures. Okay, let's try to do that. And what I'm doing now is I put category on filter, and I only keep office supplies and technology. And see what happens. We have filtered out furniture, but we only keep 7 subcategories, because right now I'm using category as a dimension filter. And you see in the order of operations, dimension filters get applied after the top N filters. And that's why we only keep 7. So we first filter down to the top 10, and then I used a dimension filter. I filtered out furnitures, and we only keep 7 because we filtered out 3 furniture subcategories. So what can we do? To fix it, we need to use one of the filters that get applied before the top N filters. So let's drag out category again, and now let's try to use them all. Let's start with a extract filter. I'm already working here with an extract filter, with an extract. So my data source has been extracted, and then we have the extract data option available. And within that extract data dialog, we can add an extract filter. And I will do that on category, and I will exclude furniture. Okay, let's extract that. And you see, we have 10 subcategories. I filtered out furniture before my top N, and now I still have 10 subcategories, but only subcategories from technology and office supplies. That is the first option. Second option, let me get rid of this one to get them all back. Let's try data source filter. Data source filters are applied on data source level. There are different ways to do data source filters. I like to do it here from the data source, right click, and then you have the option to set a data source filter. It looks pretty much the same. Let's exclude furniture, and we will see the same result. We still have 10 subcategories, but only from technology and office supplies. The thing that Jim has mentioned is that extract filters and data source filters are applied on workbook level. So let's jump back to my step 0. And you see also in this sheet, we have lost furnitures. So we have office supplies and technology only. Likewise in this one, so it's filtered out for the entire workbook. Yeah, so whenever we use that data source sample superstore, we don't have that furniture category when we set a data source filter. Okay, so that is the data source filter. Let's get rid of that again. And the last option is now on sheet level, the context filter. Again, let's filter out furniture. I exclude it like that. So this is not what we want right now. It's just a dimension filter. But when you click into that pill, you can add this filter to context. And when you make it a context filter, we get back our 10 subcategories because now we have filtered out furniture and do the top N calculation after the context filter. Yeah, so this way we have used a filter before we did the top 10. And yeah, this is actually what this manager wanted to see. Okay, step 3. Keep furniture, but filter down to South region. Okay, so the manager has changed the question again. So we shall keep furniture, but filter down to South region. Okay, let's do that. I put region on here where I have the location. I put region on filter and I select South and do it like that. Okay, so I'm using a dimension filter here and I'm filtered down my top 10 subcategories to the South region. Yeah, first the top N, then the dimension filter. Sounds like that was the question the manager wanted to be answered. But now I meant to say, show me the top 10 subcategories for the South region. And you might realize that this question is slightly different. So we want to see the top 10 categories for the South region. That means we have to do that filtering to the Southern region before we do the top N. Yeah. Therefore, again, region on filter. Let's filter it down to the South. And then we need to make it, for example, a context filter. And you see the values change. Yeah, when I jump between step 3 and step 4, you will see that we get different results. So depending on the analytical question, we have to decide which filter we have to use in the order of operation. If we want to filter down the overall top 10 subcategories to South, we use it as a dimension filter, like in this example. And if we want to see the top 10 subcategories for the South, we have to filter down to the South before we do the top N. Jim, is there anything you want to add?
At this point, we're doing pretty good, but we got a question in here that looked a little strange. It says, what did making it an attribute do to the order of operation in the example? And I can take it, or you can take it, either way.
It has nothing to do with the order of operation. Actually, I use it as an attribute to not have any issues with my table calculation. So I'm doing a rank here. And I'm doing the rank calculation on subcategories, and I'm using category as an attribute because then it won't affect the table calculation.
Yeah, the order of operations is immutable. I mean, if you've ever done any programming, you start at the top and you work your way to the bottom, and that's pretty much the order of operations. And recasting that value to an attribute is not going to change the order of operation. It may change how the values are treated, but it's not going to change the order of operation.
Yeah. Okay, so we're almost through, and now we have a last question. So the question is, that's it. Now filter down to technology, but keep the overall ranks. So that's also a question I came across, and so we have this rank here in the first column, and the rank, like I just showed, is a table calculation. And what you might want to see is filtering down to a category and then keep the ranks. So if I would use technology as a dimension filter, you will see that the ranks get recalculated. So we do the dimension filter here, and table calculation is step 10, almost at the end, is at a later step. So therefore, we won't keep the ranks we wanted to see when comparing the ranks across categories. So that wouldn't work in this case. So what we needed to do is to use a table calculation filter, because we want to calculate the rank first and then filter out the category. I like to do that in a calculated field. So we could do it in different ways. So we could put rank on filter. Let's do it like that, and calculate it across the subcategories. And then we get the 10, and we could now say, okay, technology is 2, 4, and 9. And like that, we would keep the ranks, because we would now have a table calculation filter. So we have rank, which is a table calculation on filter, and keep only that. Or we could do it differently. Maybe we want to have that dynamic. So I would create a parameter from a category. So I have my 3 values. And then I would do a calculation, a filter calculation. And I use lookup. And I use lookup for my category with a offset of 0. And this equals my parameter, like that. And if I put that on filter, I want that to be true, and show my parameter. And now I could do it for furniture, for office supplies, and for technology. Yeah, but the idea is the same. Like rank was a table calculation we put on filter. I now use lookup, which is a table calculation on filter. And like that, yeah, I have applied a table calculation filter, and this gets applied after I've calculated the rank in step 10. Yeah, so again, order of operation is very useful. And like Jim said, whenever you think something is going wrong and Tableau just does not do what you want it to do, most of the time it has to do with the order of operation. And just take this little image or the others that are available and try to understand what you are doing in your view, and which of the filters, which of the calculations get applied, and in which order they get applied. And then you will find a solution to exactly do what you want, or to exactly answer the question that has been asked.
Klaus, we got a great question here, and it's a little bit more advanced, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. Patricia asked, she says, using sets top end will give you the same issues. And I just want to interject here about using sets and top end and fixed LODs. They all happen in the same step of the order of operations. They're all calculated in step 4. Now, I'm trying to recall offhand, and please go out to my blog. I wrote a whole blog piece on this, on sets and top end. If I recall right, sets are determined first, and LODs are calculated after sets are determined. So you have, and this is a great question. This is a little bit of an advanced question, but you got to be very careful when you do this on how to use those two in combination. And I show you a couple of examples either way on how to do it. It's a little bit more than we need to get into this morning, but please go out and look at that. That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking it.
Okay. Good. Do we have other questions?
Viraj, do you see anything out there?
Yeah, there's this one question. Megan's asked, does the data source filter work if you have custom SQL in your data source?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's there is no difference which data source you use, or if you do custom SQL, it should work. I haven't tested, but I'm quite confident that it works.
Yeah. It does work. Okay. It does work.
Maybe on data source filters, there is one thing you should maybe know. So when you use this option, wait a second, I'm using a dimension filter here, and there is this apply to worksheet option. And when you say all using this data source, then you are not implementing a data source filter. It's just a dimension filter that gets applied to all sheets that use this data source, but it's not a data source filter. Data source filters have to be set here, like I just did. There are other ways you can set it here, or you could go to the data source page and set the data source filter there.
Okay. Klaus, I'm going to interject one thing and then we probably ought to move on. Very often we'll get questions out on the forum where somebody's created a table calculation and they say, I want to take the values on this table calculation. I want to put them over on a summary sheet and I want to move them to a summary sheet. How do I create a fixed LOD that's going to take those values over? And I think you can, that's a perfect example of trying to do things out of the order of operation. The LODs were calculated way up here before those table calculations were ever done. Now there's ways, oh, you can't see me pointing. I'm sorry. I was pointing, yeah. You couldn't see. Yeah. And the LODs are calculated way up in step 4. And it's not till you get down into step 10 that the table calculations are calculated. Now there's ways of creating a summary table using table calculations and table calculation filters. And that's a skill that you should learn how to do, but you will not be able to just convert that over to an LOD expression. So.
Yeah, so there are always thousand ways of doing a thing, and I think this order of operation is just fundamental to understand in which order the calculations are applied, and that will always help you understand what Tableau is doing.
And don't ever be afraid to ask the question. I'm not going to mention any names. The person is not on the call, but I get calls from a few people that you know and you recognize their name immediately, and they say, what did I do wrong? And it all boils back down to the order of operation, that they got something out of order. And you think, well, geez, they're well advanced, they should know that. Well, we all get confused at times. Okay, very good, Klaus, thank you.
Yeah.
Plus, there's one more question which it's quite interesting, which I feel it's like, are there any other items we need to be aware of when switching a filter from dimension filter to context filter? Will it impact anything else in the workbook?
I'll jump on it, Klaus. I guess the short answer is, and once again, I'm going to point. What it affects is the fixed LODs.
Yeah.
The creation of the fixed LODs, the sets in the top end. That's
everything
every place those are used. Yeah. Every place the results of those are used will change accordingly. But all you're doing is deciding if you're going to apply the filter before you calculate the fixed LOD or after.
Yeah. So everything that happens in step 4, and that was my step 3, step 4 example, right? So filtering down to the south region when having already calculated the top 10 would be, so do the top n in step 4 and then filter down to south in step 5. And this example would be when we use south region as a context filter, first filter down to south region and then do the top n.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Move on.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I'm fortunate to take over that next part as well. Like Jim said, we had some short notice cancellations of within our speakers, so I'm happy to do this presentation. And what I planned for today, and this is quite an experiment, I think, we want to create senke diagrams. And Viraj, I think you have prepared a quick poll, and I'm really interested in learning to know how many of you have already created a senke, because that
Yeah.
will actually, yeah. So can you start that poll?
Yes, yes. Yes. I guess everyone is able to see the poll. Oh, I can start seeing the answers already.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so pretty much what I expected, and I will tell you in a minute why I expected that. But we have 94% of the attendees that have not created a senke yet, and there are some people already did it, 20 or 19 right now. Okay, good, perfect. So I think I have to change my my presentation title to, let's say, 300. We are not so many people today, but we will do 300 senkes today. And what I invite you to do is, when you have successfully created your senke today, I want you to share it on social, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and just share with everyone what you've done today at the newbie tag. Okay, good. Let's move on. Virashi, I think you can stop the poll. So we have like 300 people that haven't done it yet. So we have 308 people that took the poll, and we have 94% that never did a senke. Okay, good. Yeah, that's perfect. So I think now everyone can see the results. So pretty much what I already said. Yeah, and then let's try to do it. So this talk is basically about using templates. And templates, using templates is, I think, a very good way of speeding up your Tableau game. So you're probably at a very early step of your Tableau journey, but nevertheless, I think templates are a good way of learning also from people that have created these templates, and just to be quicker in creating the stuff you have to do. And yeah, I've started my first slide with this image, because this is what most people that use Tableau normally start their projects with. So they start with a blank sheet. How can I know? Because I've asked people. So people, so I've asked the Tableau users, how do you build in Tableau? And almost 2/3 of the people that I've asked, they answered, I always start from scratch. Yeah, like I just showed with this empty sheet. And then I start building out the visualizations, the charts I need to have to create to answer my analytic questions. And then I put everything on a dashboard, and that's it. So 2/3 said always from scratch. Then there is a minority, 21% said I sometimes use templates, and there is a real minority that say I use templates a lot. So only 7% say, yeah, that is what I often do. There's obviously an it depends option, and some people answered like, I start from scratch when I do personal projects for Tableau Public, and I use templates when I do work-related projects. Yeah, and I want to show you today how to do this, how to use templates to create complicated charts like a senke, or any other complicated chart that you've seen or come across on Tableau Public. And you just ask yourself, I want to recreate that, and I want to do that myself with my own data, for example. Yeah, and this is what we will do. And why senke diagrams? So senke diagrams are kind of the most complicated things to do in Tableau. And I was a newbie sometime too, and I've created this senke diagram in 2018. The Olympic Games in Pyongyang were just about to start, and there was a initiative on social media. I think it was Makeover Monday, and they shared a data set on Olympic medal winners, medalists, and I thought about this this visualization. So I wanted to show when did the most successful Olympic winners, when did they attend the Olympic Games, if that makes sense. And today I'm not even proud of this visualization, because a senke diagram is, I think, just not a good choose to do here. So there would be other chart types that would be better, I think, to show what I wanted to show here. But this is not about the correct choice of chart type here, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the senke diagram, because it took me ages to create this. So back in 2018, I was still quite new to Tableau. And I found myself a blog post to follow, and I think it was a blog post by Chris Love, a Zen master at that time. And I followed each of the steps, and I just couldn't get it to work. There are lots of table calculation in this blog post explained, but when you don't know how to do this table calculations, it's just quite difficult to achieve. Yeah, but eventually I did it, and I still like how this looks. So this shiny effects, I think that's still quite cool. But I don't want to create a senke in this particular use case again. So please don't judge me on that chart. But yeah, I just wanted to share it with you, because in my memories it was so difficult to do. And yeah, I want to show you today a much easier way. And when you go to Tableau Public, you will find lots of templates. I've implemented this screenshot on the left side, and I think I just searched for templates on Tableau Public, and you will see lots of templates for senke diagrams, and most of them have been created by Ken Flerlach. You probably know Ken. Jeffrey Schaefer have created lots of templates as well, and Olivier Caterin has done some foundational work on templates as well. So he's also often mentioned when it comes to senkes. Yeah, I also already mentioned that blog by Chris Love from the Information Lab. It's also quite famous, and there are lots of resources about senkes available. How do you use normally these templates? So you will have to is a accompanying blog, and then you will read that blog. You will often find Excel sheets or Google Sheets files that has the data for the senkes in it, and you can just take these Excel files, add your own data, and then update the template to use it as you want. But actually, it's not that easy to do. Most of the time things break, and then you will start redoing all the calculations, and that's yeah, most of the time it ends in a mess, or the Excel file is not available anymore. And yeah, it's just difficult to do. And therefore, I want to show you today a way that will always work when the template is created in a certain way. So we will do that from scratch now. And I already said, please have your Tableau desktop in place, because you can follow the steps along, and all of you will be able to create a senke. So we will do 7 steps. We will download a template from Tableau Public. Then we will look into that TWX file, and we will unzip it, because a TWX file is actually a zip file. Then we will connect to a hyperfile file that is stored in this TWX file. We will replace data sources. We will fix broken fields because things will break. That will always happen, but you don't have to worry about broken fields because it's quite easy to fix them. And then we will connect own data. We will do the Superstore, and then we will replace some references, and that will get our Sankey diagram ready. One important thing close to my heart. So Tableau Public is an amazing resource. You can get lots of workbooks and great visualizations for free. But please, when you take templates and when you use it and when you use it with your own data, please always pay attribution to the original source. So like I'm telling you now that this has been created by Ken, by Jeffrey, and by Olivier. Just be so kind to mention them when you share it on social, so they get the credits they deserve. Okay, and we are going to do a crazy visualization. So we will take the multi-level Sankey template from Ken, and we will create a crazy business infographic. We will create a sales overview. We will compare Superstore sales from 1 year with another year, and we will compare these across different dimensions. We will look at regions and categories, at segments, and at ship mode. So this is our goal for today. Again, don't judge me on this visualization. I don't even know if it makes sense. This is all about creating a Sankey, and maybe we can have a conversation about what are useful or what are really useful or what are useful occasions to use a Sankey diagram. But at this point, it's basically about how to use templates and to go through that procedure. Okay, good. Then let's do it. I want you to go with me to Tableau Public. So I'm going to Tableau Public. I start at my personal Tableau Public profile. And when you are on Tableau Public, maybe Viraj, maybe someone can share a link to Tableau Public in the chat, and you will find a search on Tableau Public, and we are going to use this search. And I just write template into this search. And when you do that, you will get the same view that I had also in my presentation. And then you see all the Sankey templates created by Ken. We see, I think, Jeffrey Schaefer somewhere. Here's Jeffrey. He's done lots of work on Sankeys as well. And there are some other people also here on the first page, but we can stay here at the very top, and we will use Ken Flelech multi-level Sankey template. Let's go to that one. And maybe I already share this one in the chat. So this is the template we are going to use. So just go to that page. And yeah, we have here this template from Ken, where we have sources on the left side, and then from that source to that target, we see, for example, how let's assume these were sales, how sales are broken down from A to E, F, and G. Or we could go to E and break this down to the further right, to E and L, to I and L, or whatever. Yeah, so this would transform a measure on several steps into different dimensions and break it down to different dimensions. We are going to use this, and we will use it by going to that very bottom right here. And oh, it's in German, but you will also have a similar option to download the Tableau workbook. And this is what we are going to do. Hit that last option, Tableau workbook, and download the current version. And I open that. And then we will have Ken's template here available. Like that. Yeah, I will unhide the sheets just to give you an impression of why I said it's quite complicated to do such a thing. So we have different sheets here on that dashboard. So these steps, these gates are always in a sheet. Then we have one sheet for the curves. Then we have another sheet for step 2. Then we have again the curves, and we have again one sheet for step 3, and like that. There are just lots of sheets on the dashboard. And when you look into that, to look into one of these sheets, you will see how many calculations there are in place to create that view. So Ken has sorted everything perfectly. And yeah, you get an impression of how many calculation it needs to create that that Sankey diagram. Yeah, so that's the first step. We found ourselves a template. We've downloaded the template, and now we want to use it with our own data, and we want to use it with Superstore. To do that, we need to do a few things. The first thing is I will go to that download where I have my downloads. And here we have the first option, that is the multi-level Sankey template that I've just downloaded. And you see it's a TWX file. When you're on a Windows machine, you can just unzip that, that file. If you're on a Mac, the easiest thing to do is to change that extension from TWX to a zip. Yeah, we want to use zip. Okay, I have that already here in place. I have to rename that a little bit. Wait a second. Like that. Now let me rename it again. Okay, now it's a zip file. And when it's a zip file, I can just double click to extract the data in it. And when you're in that folder, you will see that there is a folder data, then there is a folder data sources, and there we have the hyper file. Yeah, that has been uploaded together with the workbook on Tableau Public. This is the TWB file. And yeah, what we are going to do is we want to connect to this hyper file to be able to use it actually, and to edit that data source. Okay, so that is a necessary step. And the next thing is we want to connect to that hyper file. So I'm adding a data source, and I want to do that as well. So go back to the workbook that we've downloaded and opened, and then go to more here in the file section. Yeah, add a data source, then go to more. And then I'm going back to my downloads, and there I have my unzipped folder. In this unzipped folder, we have data source, and I want to connect to that hyper file. Yeah, so again, to summarize, we're in the workbook that we've downloaded from public. Now I'm adding a new data source, and I'm connecting to that hyper file that is within this zip folder. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, so that's good. We take it as it is, and we go back to our sheet, and we see, okay, we have now two data sources. We have the original Sankey, and we have that data source we just connected to. And what we have to do now is we have to replace a data source, because we cannot edit the data source that is already in the workbook, but we can edit the data source we just connected to. And what we have to do is we will replace data sources. That's a feature you find in the data menu. So go to data and then replace data sources. And we want to use the visualizations in this workbook, not with the Sankey, with the data source that gets shipped with the workbook, but with this hyper file we just connected to. So we go to replace data source, And we want to replace the current one, the senke, with our Excel Direct 42458 extract, yeah, which is basically the same, but when we connect to that one, we are able, or we will be able to edit that data source. Okay, let's do it. And this will take a second because now the data gets changed in the background. And let's see what happens. Okay, and now we see there broke things. We are now connected to this one. We see the blue little check mark, but we have some red pills, and red pills are always a sign that something broke. But no worries, it's really not that bad, and we can easily fix it. And things broke because for some reason there are two fields that are named differently. And when we replaced that data source, Tableau couldn't find the field it was looking for. And we can fix this by looking into the data pane and searching for data source fields. Yeah, so these are all calculations. And at the very bottom, there are two data source fields. So this is path, and this is a T. And these have a red exclamation mark. That means these two fields couldn't be found in the new data source. And what we have to do is we have to replace the references to the correct field. Yeah, so right-click this field and search for the correct path field. And you see there is a field path without the extension in brackets model. And this is the field we need to use. Yeah, I showed again, right-click on path, replace references, and then select the correct field, which is just named path, like that. And the same has to be done for T model, replace references, and choose T without the extension model instead. Yeah, when we do that replacement, then you see the view is fixed. We don't see any red pills anymore. And we are now in full control over this data source. We can even close the original one from Can, and we are now in the data source that was shipped with the workbook, and we are now able to edit that data source. Okay, so these were already a couple of steps. We've downloaded the workbook. We've connected, or we've unzipped the TWX file. We've added a data source, which is the extract file that was in the TWX, the hyperfile that was in the TWX. Then we've connected to that file, to that source, to that file. We've replaced the data source. And then we fixed the red pills by replacing references to the correct fields. Yeah, our senke is still working. Let's go to the dashboard. So everything is still in place. But what we can now do is we can now go to that data source page, and we can add a connection to the data we want to map actually, or we want to visualize with that senke diagram. What we are going to do is to add a connection. And I want you to use the sample superstore. And therefore, please connect to an Excel file. So add a connection to an Excel file. And the superstore data set sits within the documents. And within the documents, you will find a Tableau repository. And within the Tableau repository, there should be a sample superstore Excel file somewhere. Yeah, so it's in the documents, then my Tableau repository. And within the Tableau repository, there is a folder data sources. You could also take this one from the latest version. I'm now connecting to that one from 2021.4. Yeah, and just open that file, and this will add a new connection to the workbook. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, and then you see we have a second connection. This is the Hyper file. This is the Excel file. And I want to use that orders table from the sample superstore. I would just double click that orders table. And this will create a relationship with the extract. And this is now the step to connect the template with your own data. And we have to define that relationship between the two. And to do that, we will create a relationship calculation. So we have to define a field in both tables to define that relationship. And there is actually no field in the data that can be used for the relationship. And therefore, I'm creating a relationship calculation by just typing in 1 on the left side. And I do exactly the same on the right side, also type in 1. Yeah, this will create a kind of a Cartesian product between the two, but since we are using the relationship model, we don't have to worry too much about data duplication, so everything should be fine. Yeah. Okay. So the steps are: add a connection to the data you want to map, then bring in that table with a double click or by drag and drop, and then define the relationship calculation on both sides where you say 1 equals 1. And when I now go back to my curve 1, you will see that we have the superstore data available now. So we have category, we have city, we have subcategory. So the fields we also used in the previous example. Now, so we've connected the template data with our own orders data. And now we are almost there. The next thing we have to do now is again replacing references. You see in this folder from Ken, or in this data from Ken, he has nicely labeled the fields, and this will give you an idea of how they are used. So we have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. When we look into the dashboard, these are the 4 steps: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So we want to use now different fields instead of the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and 5 fields. And to do that, we will replace references again. So I'm starting with step 1, and instead of step 1, I replace references to the country. I want to start my Sankey diagram with a country variable. Yeah. Again, right click on step 1 and select country and region. So, and you see the view already updates. In step 2, I want to use region. So I want to break down the countrywide sales to region. So instead of step 2, I'm replacing references to region. Yeah, and you see the view has already updated. And then let's take for step 3, 4, and 5 other fields from Superstore. For example, on step 3, I want to use category. On step 4, I want to use segment. Yeah, so this is just random. I'm taking some of the fields that are available. And for the 5th step, I want to use ship mode. Yeah, so now we've already replaced the 5 steps with 5 dimensions from the Superstore. And the last thing we have to do, we have to replace the measure. So when looking at Kent's data, we see there is one variable size. And I don't want to use size here because it's just meaningless in this context when I look at Superstore, but I want to use the sales instead. Okay, let's replace the reference to sales and the view will update. And we're done. We have created our Sankey diagram without looking into one single calculation. And when you now jump back to the dashboard, you will see the magic happen. The query gets executed, and we have created our Sankey diagram and broken down sales from the entire United States to regions, from regions to categories, from categories to segments, and from segments to ship mode. Yeah, and like that, you can very easily use templates available on Tableau Public and really own it and use it with your own data. Okay, good. I know these were a couple of steps. I'm not sure if some of you or I hope a lot of you were able to follow. Yeah, I think that's a really good way of saving lots of time. It's a really time saver. And yeah, like I said in the beginning, this is maybe kind of demystifying a Sankey diagram. Obviously, it absolutely makes sense to understand what's going on in the workbook, but sometimes you just want to use a certain visualization, and this is a easy way to do that. If you want to dig deeper, I recommend using the blogs that are available and just to understand what's going on in the workbook. Okay, I'm sure there are lots of questions, and most of all, I'm excited to hear, was someone able to do a Sankey diagram?
Well, before they answer this, there's one question for you, Klaus. Maybe, just maybe a generic question, what is a good use case for this Sankey diagram? Where would it be, probably used?
Yeah, so what would be a good use case? I think a good use case would, for example, be to follow the way of qualifying leads. For example, you have some leads first, and then you have a call with them, so they get qualified, and from a qualified lead, you send out proposals to some of these, and some become a customer eventually. Or same with people that applied for a job. So you have some, so you have first all of them that applied, and then some can't be taken for formal reasons. And then you talk to some, and you have a second interview with more of them. And you hire only a few. So whenever you have different steps of looking at a data, and you qualify over this process, then a Sankey diagram could be a useful visualization, a flow diagram, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And could you maybe there were a lot of questions or confusion around how did you extract the data of after you downloaded the TWBX file. So probably just a recap of that would help.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let me go a few steps back. So after you've downloaded that workbook, it looks like this. So you have a TWX file. And when you look at a TWX file and you're on a Windows machine, you should just be able to right-click and to unzip that file. You cannot do that when you're on a Windows on a Mac, for example. Then just rename that extension from TWX to zip, and then you can just also double click and extract that file. And then when you look into that folder, you have the TWB file and the data that is used in this TWB file to create the visualization. And that was this Excel Direct 42458 hyper file. So whenever you download a workbook from Tableau Public, you can look into that TWX file and you will find a data source in that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. That was great, Klaus. You know, somebody wants to win something here, so I think we got a quiz coming up. Are we ready? Are we ready with the quiz, Enid?
Yep, we're ready. So give me a second.
Yeah.
Can you guys see my screen? Okay, so everybody that wants to participate, join us at www.kahoots.it, and then it's going to ask you for a pin.
And just by the way, I think our first place finisher will get a year's license to the e-learning platform. So it's a pretty nice little prize. Wow, now they start coming out. You said the e-learning platform. Yeah, I'm with you.
And if you're using a smartphone, you can just scan the QR code as well.
Ooh.
I like that name. Monday is 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's great to see all the people here. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
We have a lot of participants.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know if you guys see the username TC22, but just passed by.
Seven H9. Some interesting names here coming up, you can see.
Okay, I'll give it a few more seconds. Help.
That was nice.
I also like the one that just says, just do it.
Okay, that was short, just K. Just K.
Okay, I think we.
Yeah, I think we can probably get started, right?
The region. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Okay. So remember, this is like a time quiz. You're gonna get options, and then whoever gets it first. So the first question, how many layers are in the Tableau order operations, which was Jim's and Klaus's first presentation. Yay.
We've got about 37 people that we have to talk to, Klaus. Did you get all their names and addresses so that we can visit them later?
And then Hawk killed it, did it super fast. And then here's just a refresher of what we talked about in the slide. Okay, question number 2. So the show me on Tableau, how many templates are out there?
Oh, this is interesting. That's a nice question.
I don't know if I even know. I can do like a while there. Ooh, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
So there's 24 out
Yeah.
there. So, and we know we can also go out and download from Tableau Public, but 24 come with the Tableau software.
Oh, that's a lot changed. Nice. Emma is the highest climber, 62 places. Nice.
Nice. All right, question number 3. So which chart type is the best to visualize data over time?
Oh, this is my favorite one. One of my favorites, I would say.
Absolutely.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Yay.
Yay.
Cool.
That's great. Oh, Yasi.
Oh, he
Oh, Yossi
kept the first
Chairman.
place. And then we have 23 players who have a answer streak.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
This one I kind of gave it to you guys.
Interesting. Pan and zoom
I
is
don't
on
think
my
I know the
phone.
answer, guys. I don't think I know the answer. It's very complicated.
Yes. Oh, I'm just looking at right now. If I can get it correct.
No thing.
Yay, that's nice.
It's great. Ooh, ooh, Yasi at AP.
And then I just wanted to add this. So in the map, I don't know if you guys knew, but you can add layers. And there's data from the census on the Tableau software that you can just layer on your maps.
Nice tip. Useful tip.
Okay, and then which is not a join in Tableau? It's a trick question, which is not a join.
It is a trick question.
Okay.
Good, good.
Good. So
Good job.
108 have gone in correct.
15 people.
And then we just have a poll. Will you be joining us next time?
This has to be
That
100%. Please, this has to be 100%.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Oh, so the one person I can understand, you may have some other plans, but yeah, would love to see you on the 29th.
Yeah.
And
Okay, now we
then
have
the podium.
Okay, third is AP.
Yasi.
Second is Yossi, and the first rank goes to
Oh,
very
Schulte.
nice.
Nice.
Hey, Tom T, would you just direct message Enid a way to contact you so we know how to send you your gift certificate? Either that
I
or
believe
Enid.
I should have his email as well too.
You already got him? Okay.
I think it asks for email when they log in.
Okay. If you've got it, then we're in good shape. We're in good shape.
Well, yeah, thank you guys. That was fun.
We've got about 2 minutes left, Klaus. You're muted there.
Yeah, we are perfectly in time. So I think last thing for us to share is our next event. And the next event will take place on June 29th. We're back on a Thursday, I think.
I believe that is a Thursday.
Yeah.
I believe that is a Thursday.
Wednesday.
We invite you to subscribe to our Splash site, and then you will get a link to register. I think we've shared it probably in the chat already.
No, I think I still have to make the link. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah,
okay, good.
Alyssa, Enid, Alyssa dropped it in the chat right at the beginning. If you want to run up there and grab it real quick.
okay, let me get
Uh,
it.
She created the
Oh, I have
placeholder.
just sent it. Yeah, I've just sent it.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, now, one additional thing, we had to make changes in the agenda today. If you have a particular issue that you want us to address at some point in the future, you want us to take a look at, just drop it in the chat and we'll see when we can get to it, okay?
Thank you.
Until then, bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.